Joining me now is former Trump 2016 deputy campaign manager David Bossie. So, David, you know, the thing that gets me is we keep hearing that this is an airtight case, that we've never had a case that any jury in the country would immediately convict, et cetera. So if it's so airtight, why do they need more witnesses?
That's a great question. It's exactly the question that Republican senators are going to be asking themselves, both privately and publicly, this week and in the coming weeks. There is no evidence to remove this president. There was no evidence for an impeachment in the House to begin with. The House ran a circus of an investigation. They ran a circus of an impeachment proceeding, and that's all this is. This is political. The problem that Nancy Pelosi and her team have is they cannot compete with this president on his accomplishments. They can't compete with a nominee to beat him in November, so they have to impeach. That's what this is all about, and the American people are very smart, and they get it.
Oh, I think so, and particularly when you have little clips from the past, because some of these people, this is not their first rodeo. Senator Schumer was through it with the Clinton impeachment. Here's what he said about witnesses when the Senate was about to get the impeachment for Clinton's impeachment from the House. Listen.
This idea that they didn't have to call witnesses in the House and they should call them in the Senate doesn't make sense. You call witnesses before a grand jury and you call witnesses before a trial. So
was he right back then?
Well, Chuck Schumer will say whatever it takes to try to make his case at that moment in time. But he was exactly right back then when it was his president, Bill Clinton, under the gun of impeachment. He wanted no witnesses. He said the House will provide the evidence to the Senate, and the Senate will take its trial based on that record, not on additional record, not on an additional record that they want to create. So this is what Mitch McConnell and the Senate is fighting, these flimsy charges. And look, I want to see a quick acquittal. I want to see a dismissal of these charges on one hand. But on the other hand, I would love to see a great defense by an amazing team of Pat Cipollone and company, really destroying the very fabric of this, and then have a vote of an acquittal so that the president is off scot-free. Because if you dismiss these, the Democrats will harangue about it politically. If there's an acquittal, you know what? It's going to be very good for this president. He's going to get reelected in November, partly because of what Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are doing.
Well, I think so. And let's talk about the House managers as well, because they're coming out with this extraordinary argument, or at least they did during the weekend on the Sunday talk shows, that they have no animus towards the president. Listen to Hakeem Jeffries talk about this.
We don't dislike Donald Trump, but we do love America. We do love democracy. We do love the Constitution. And in America, no one is above the law, not even the President of the United States.
He went on to say that a couple of times, that we don't dislike the president. But here's what the same man said exactly a year ago on the anniversary of Martin Luther King's birth about the president and his associations. Listen.
We have a hater in the White House, the birther-in-chief, the Grand Wizard of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
So saying we don't dislike the president, even if he's the Grand Wizard of the KKK?
Well, that's despicable language by him. But the Democrats as a whole hate this president more than they love the country. And I've been saying that for the last several years. They have shown it time and time again. They cannot put aside their hatred for this man, for beating Hillary Clinton, and for destroying what they saw as their right to the presidency in 2016. So they're going to do whatever they can to defeat him. And unfortunately for them, everything they're doing is only reinforcing what President Trump talks about, which is his accomplishments, what he's been doing, focused on for the American people, all the American people over the last 3 years, and putting aside all of this circus-like atmosphere in the House. He continues to do his job. That's why I'm so glad to see him tomorrow traveling to Davos to talk up the American economy, to make sure that the world leaders see the engine that he has built around the American economy and what it's going to be doing in the future.
But, David, their animus is so intense. They hate the president so much, despite what Nancy Pelosi said and bringing up her Catholic religion, saying she doesn't hate anybody. Clearly, you don't call somebody the head of the KKK unless you dislike him, at least a little bit. But the bottom line is they're going to go on and on and on, even if and when they lose the trial in the Senate. They're gonna indict him on something else, aren't they?
Yeah. This is their only political strategy, is to meddle, using impeachment to meddle in the 2020 elections. That is all they are trying to do, nothing more, nothing less.
The only thing that could stop it from going on, from continuing into another term of President Trump, is if they have an election wipeout in 2020. Will that happen?
I could tell you that there's a lot of people working very hard, no one working harder than President Trump, not only being president, but running for re-election. He is going to work harder than he did in 2016. We're not only going to win his re-election, but we're going to take back the House of Representatives, because the people of the United States are tired of this politics as usual in the gridlock. They want people to go to Washington, which is what some of these Democrats promised to do in the midterms in 2018. It's one of the reasons they won. They're going to be rejected and thrown out of office, and I'm looking forward to that day.
David Bossie, good to see you, David. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.